Okay, over to you, Lori.
Okay, well, on behalf of the Community Affairs Committee, welcome and thank you for joining us at this year's open house. If anybody cannot hear me, please post a note in the chat and I will try to increase my voice projection. So once again, thank you for joining us and let's go ahead. So let's go to the next slide, please. First of all, we'll just cover very quickly what we're going to be talking about during the open house today. You'll have a chance to meet our CAC team and they will be sharing a little bit about themselves. We're going to talk about the goals that we're working on for this year, what we're doing new and what's changed for CAC activities since last year, upcoming CAC events that you'll want to note, important STC dates that will affect all community leaders. And then we will have an open discussion with your questions or your suggestions. At this point, the recording will be turned off so that you can just chat informally and you don't have to worry about anything. And then we'll be talking about how to contact us. And once again, I will give a final thank you to all of you for attending. So that is our agenda for today. So why don't we go ahead and get started? First of all, here's our team. John is our student engagement team leader, and you'll notice that we say student engagement now instead of student outreach, which is what this team has been called before. And the reason that we made that minor change is because outreach is really the whole purpose of the CAC. So what we really want to focus on is engaging students, letting them know that they're important. They're an important part of STC. So that's the reason for that wording. Jamie is our team leader for webinars and programs. Hi, Jamie. Sharon is our leader for leadership transition and process improvement. And she's also helping with social media. So she's wearing a couple of hats here. So we're very grateful for that, Sharon. I am the CAC chair for this year. I'm helping out the team members as needed, assisting with social media and process improvement. And I'm continuing to recruit CAC team members. So next slide, please. Now it is John's turn to introduce himself. So John, go ahead.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Lori, for just all the great info so far as well in the introduction. So a bit about me, a bit about me. I'm volunteering again on the CAC this year as Student Engagement Director. So happy to be back, happy to be on a great team, and going to be passionate again about helping student leaders and chapters throughout the year. And other volunteer areas that I'm in, I volunteer with the STC Florida chapter with the mentoring program and recently as a secretary. And I'm a recent graduate of the University of Central Florida, where I'm immediate past president of their technical communication club. So those experiences I hope to continue to bring into my role as student engagement director and help other student chapters and student chapter leaders.
Thanks, John. And you've done a great job as president of the Future Technical Communicators Club, which is a very active organization as part of UCF. And we're very grateful that you're bringing that knowledge to STC to help us support and engage students. So next slide, we have Jamie, who is leading our webinar and program efforts this year. So tell us more, Jamie.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be part of the CAC again. I've been a member for the past few years, serving in various roles. And this year I get to do something different, heading up our webinars and programs. So that really involves sharing information with you all and also an opportunity for you to share information on a topic that you're passionate about. But a little bit about me. Right now I'm the president of the South Central Texas chapter, which encompasses Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. I'm also the current treasurer of the Instructional Design and Learning SIG, and I also help with the surveys there. I also belong to a few other SIGs, including Technical Editing, Solo Technical Communicator, and Policies and Procedures. So I'm also active at the society level with various endeavors, including, of course, the the CAC, and then in the past I had served on various committees, and I became an associate fellow a few years ago, class of 2020, and I'm really happy to be back with the CAC this year.
Thank you, Jamie. And I'm also a member of STC South Central Texas, and they're doing a great job with programs this year. And of course, being an associate fellow is, a great honor, and we're really glad you are included. So thank you, Jamie. And next we have Sharon. So go ahead and tell us more, Sharon.
Yes, hello. It's good to see everyone. I meet everyone. I am Sharon Ford. I'm currently the chapter president for STC Atlanta chapter. I volunteered back in 2014 and then came back to serve as vice president. So this year I'm a little bit solo, but I have a team of volunteers who are working to kind of revitalize what Atlanta has offered. So we're going to have a new website that's going to roll out here pretty soon. And also we're creating a little bit more of a content program where we can have different programs for the year. Our first one will be coming up pretty soon, accessibility DEIA from a speaker who has a good background on how usability and accessibility go hand in hand. But right now I am working on my CPTC. I'm going to sit for that in April. I've been getting ready for that for quite a while. But most of the time I work full-time as a freelance content creator, where I work with individual clients and agencies to create online content.
Okay, thank you, Sharon, and best wishes with your certification. I know you're going to do great. And just a quick note, since Summit 2023 is in Atlanta this year, Atlanta will be our host chapter, and I'm looking forward to working with the Atlanta chapter. I know you're all going to do great. The host chapters always really put themselves out to help Summit attendees and provide interesting information and sometimes some good swag and stuff like that. So that'll be great. Looking forward to it. So our next team member is, just call her Queen Cat. She's returning this year as our mascot, and her principal job is to impress everyone with her limitless charm and beauty while taking as much credit as she can for as little work as she can do. And she's a master at it. And her other job is to turn on the charm big time when the CAC chair is overworked. And that's a foreign concept to her. She doesn't know what it means to be overworked. And making sure that her meals are delivered to her on schedule, and she will not accept any lapse in this area. So it's nice. Lucy is catching up on her beauty sleep now, so she can't join us, but one of these days you'll get to see her live. Next slide, please. And I'm Lori. I'm honored to be chair of the CAC this program year, and I'm very grateful to be working with such a terrific team. I've been a member of STC for, well, a very long time. I'm an STC fellow, class of 2015, and a member of 15 chapters in just about every area of the United States. And I'm also a gold member, which means I'm a member of all SIGs. I love working with communities. I have learned so much and met so many great people. And I've held pretty much every office from president on down for chapters and SIGs. I live in Northern California, and I work full-time at a cybersecurity software company, which keeps me very busy. So next slide. I just wanted to also mention Erin, who is the CAC's STC staff liaison, and she provides support from the STC side to the CAC, works regularly with me as the CAC chair to discuss any action items, challenges facing communities, and questions about resources. She attends our CAC team meetings and provides tech support for all of our CAC programs and webinars, as she is doing today. And I am incredibly grateful to Erin for all the support she provides, not only to me, but for the CAC team as well. I mean, I have asked her so many questions, and she does so much with a heavy workload as on the STC staff. So Aaron, thank you for everything. Next slide, please. We're going to talk about our the CAC goals for this program year. Before we get into specific goals, I wanted to talk about what I consider a golden thread that kind of runs through all of our work and all of the goals that we're pursuing. Number one, listen. And this is especially important for me as the CAC chair. My ears are the most important part of my head when it comes to my CAC work. I want to make sure that when people talk to me, they feel that they've been heard, or talk to any of us. The second thing is to respond. We always want to make sure that anytime you've contacted any of us, that you get a response of one type or another. If we don't know the answer, we will either tell you, suggest some things, places where you can go to find more information, or we will research things ourselves. Engage. We want to make sure that all community leaders and members their engagement with STC and their communities are welcome. And we're here to help you find good ideas about how to do that and to recognize. We on the CAC are all very enthusiastic about recognition, and we're going to talk about the virtual summit program later on, because that's a big place where we do a lot of recognition. So we want to make sure that everything that we do reflects this golden thread of kind of big goals. So now let's look at the specific team goals. Student engagement has a number of goals here. John, I would like you to talk more about this. Thank you.
Sure thing, and thank you too. So a bit on goals of student engagement this year. With the CAC, I want to, of course, continue to support student chapters and student chapter leaders. And a few of those ways are building off of ideas from previous years. I've been able to serve as student engagement, student outreach director for the past couple of years now, and this will be my third. And I want to hopefully elevate the structure of the student programming or student leader programming, and also what they can offer. Some of the ways I want to do that internally is just keeping updated with chapters to make sure all the records are up to date, keeping in constant communication so that just so that all the leaders are recognized, communicated with, and all the chapters are on our radar. So just keeping things updated in that way, constant communication, and also continuing to have group meetings, like one-on-ones or group meetings throughout the school year. In the past, for example, I had monthly meetings for student chapter leaders. That's something I want to continue. And hopefully having some of them be topic-based too. Usually they were like networking based, and we get to catch up with each other, just have an open roundtable discussion. For some of these upcoming ones, I'm hoping to have them be on a specific topic. Like a current topic might be in the next month or two, how to get students or how to get your student members to help them go to the summit, or maybe how to do recruitment better, things like that. Something that can offer good value, a meeting that can offer good value in networking and catching up with other student leaders, but also where you can learn something direct, and there's the incentive to go for that reason too. And then of course, just last items as well, like providing resources regularly to student chapter leaders, sending announcements about things going on in and out in STC at the national level, and things that students and student chapters can make use of throughout the school year, throughout the program year. Just making sure that chapters and student leaders are getting everything that they need to, both for their own internal benefit and also for even their own personal benefit. Just as students, they also benefit from the STC experience. So all those are ways that I'm hoping to hopefully elevate, just continue, but also elevate a little bit what student engagement has been in the past. Continuing to have meetings, but offering some more things of value, and just keeping in constant communication so that by the end of the program year, the end of the school year, all the chapters have a successful time, successful past few months. And ideally, one of my goals too is hopefully getting as many students plugged in to things as possible, like with the summit. So those are just some of the student engagement goals for these upcoming few months.
Thank you very much, John. I just wanted to note that for Summit 2002 too, John and several students came to the summit in Chicago. Despite flight cancellation, they got there for the conference, and I was so pleased to meet some of these students. They were just, very enthusiastic, engaged, and, just very nice to chat with. And since students are actually the future of STC, it's really important that we make sure that they know that their presence in STC is important. And John, I think you're covering that very well. So many thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next goal. Oh, you're welcome. Next goal, webinars and programs. So Jamie, take it away.
All right, thank you, Lori. Well, as you all know, we like to provide educational and networking opportunities for all of our leaders, not just current leaders, but also aspiring leaders. So we have a few goals in mind for this CAC season. First of all, we'd like to offer an educational webinar at least every 4 to 6 weeks. So we're we're pretty much on pace for that. The reason being is that we can focus on quality programming and not feel that you have to be on the go at every moment. We want to make sure that we provide something that's of value to you. Now, with that said, we have a wealth of materials already at our fingertips. And so another goal is to help point everyone towards our existing recordings and other resources. That way, we're not beating the same point down to the ground. We're always offering something fresh, but if something that we recorded before still has valid information, we want to make sure that you are aware so that you can refer to it. And then whatever questions you have, we can always come together to discuss. Because it's not enough just to be able to watch the information, but for you to be able to interact with it is so much better. That way you get more enrichment out of it, and maybe something you see there may spark another idea, and then people bounce ideas off each other, and that's where the magic comes in. And then finally, as part of the webinar and programs committee, I want to set up at least some sort of at least quarterly meetups of different leaders, community leaders with different configurations. So maybe some president or some chapter leaders or SIG leaders, or even those with different disciplines like treasurers or webmasters, have some sort of meetup. Now, of course, this is virtual because we're all spread out around the world. And the point of these meetups would be to share issues and bounce ideas off each other. Because I know when I was a member of, early on in my, STC life, I didn't know anything about leadership. And so I've learned from other people. And so I'd like to create forums in which people can share. And also leverage the existing ones that we already have. Like we do have Slack presence and stuff. And I know that Sharon is working with the social media, so we can all work together to use what we currently have. Help add spokes to that wheel, not necessarily reinvent it, but, add some tires and add spokes and playing cards and everything to make it viable and make it a wonderful resource.
Thanks a million, Jamie. Just as an example of some webinars that we have already done this year, Bobby presented a great webinar on preparing budgets for the coming year. And also Vicki Dill gave a nice presentation on applying for the Community Achievement Award, which is deadline is coming up. And we've got some great news about how to access those particular webinars. So thanks a lot, Jamie. It's so great to have you in the team. Next slide, please. Okay, process improvement and leadership transition. Sharon, this one's yours.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Lori. So I'm excited to be back with this. This is kind of a reincarnation or a continuation of something that we started with the last CAC. Being new to leadership for STC Atlanta, I found that there was, just ground level, there was a lot of challenge in pulling together all the details of account access, assets, making sure you had a good roster of who did what, and documentation and all those pieces and parts that go to assuming leadership. So what I wanted to do, and Erica Freesley worked with this as well, but we organized around the things that are already out there on the website for CAC leadership. We organized around the documentation that's there, but the goal was to go through that documentation, sift through it, and kind of pull out what continues to be relevant, and to organize it down into, condense it down into things that are pertinent to when you are a new leader stepping in behind someone, that it's a good, easy entry into all the things that you have to do. And you land in, there's an Excel spreadsheet for now, but something that will capture all of those details and help you kind of organize that together. So that's the first goal, is the full leadership documentation on the site. And we created what we'll call a checklist. Right now, again, it's an Excel spreadsheet, but we'll work harder to make that more accessible, to make it easier to work with. But mentally, it will be that kind of repository, so that when you have phone numbers and things that you need to get a hold of quickly, those things are all in one place. You know, minus, of course, security, passwords, and those things will be handled separately and differently. To make all this something that is user friendly and usable, we want to do, and we'll be doing surveys of leadership, so that we can have an idea of pain points, what works, what doesn't work, what people would like to see. So look for that coming in the coming weeks. And then, of course, we'll internally share those survey findings with the other members of the CAC team, with, as Jamie said, with webinars, so that we can cross-pollinate opportunities to not only share the end result, but share the process, and, you know, hopefully get some idea from others what makes sense to them as leaders, how they organize themselves. So it won't be something that is dictated or demanded. It will be an option, but it will be something that is birthed from other people's experiences and what makes sense and what's worked well. So that's what we're going to do with the survey, and then, you know, cross-pollination and the communications from everyone out there who I hope will participate. But looking forward to bringing that to, like I said, we got started with that last time, and Erica and I were very, very excited. She had to step away because of her calendar load, but very excited to see this turn the corner and turn into something that will be usable and valuable.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon. And I think this is a very important initiative to help communities to, you know, find ways to streamline their processes and just make things easier to understand and easier to process, and a good incentive to help new leaders get up and running quickly and successfully. So thanks for all your work, Sharon. We really do appreciate it. So next slide, please. Now, mentoring, this is something that I've kind of started some work on, and I'm hoping, you know, if we can recruit a couple of new people, we can pursue this even more. But what I've started doing is getting an idea through community websites, which communities do have mentoring programs. Now, I'm aware of at least 2 of them, and I have actually been a mentor for these 2 programs. So, you know, there's, you know, some input that I need to provide there too. And just how they schedule and run their programs, and, you know, how they encourage participation. I know John has worked with STC Florida on their very successful mentoring program. And we want to encourage communities who have mentoring programs to share information about their programs with other community leaders, like what successes and challenges did you have? How do you keep your program up and running? You know, what recommendations do you have for other communities? What lessons have you learned? And we also want to emphasize for all communities how mentoring can be communicated as a value-adding service provided by a community, because mentoring is a very value-adding service. I have been a mentor for 2 chapters, as I mentioned, and, you know, it was not only a very satisfying experience for me to be a mentor, but the feedback I got from my mentees, you know, they told me, and other mentees have told their mentors, that they really appreciated what they learned, and they appreciated communicating with somebody in a kind of a safe environment, where they could just ask questions freely and get some real good insights from a working professional. So mentoring is just, I can't say enough good things about it. So hopefully we can, continue to do great things and do even more great things after that. So next slide. Now we wanted to just give a quick review of the top challenges you shared in 2002. Now for professional chapters and SIGs, their biggest challenges were to attract new members, grow membership, increase member participation, and recruit officers and volunteers. And for communities of interest, same thing, grow their membership and increase participation. Now, I wanted to share this review with you because we have not forgotten. These are important things for you. What we're trying to do now, this is the what. And what we're trying to do now is focus on how we're going to help communities do this. Because, if we can work on things to motivate people to be a member of STC or to be involved as a volunteer, then, we can do, we can help communities address, these needs. And, we want to make it easier and more attractive for professionals and students to, to be part of a community as a volunteer or as a up and coming leader. So we these are always in the back of our minds. So let's go to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit more about how we hope to do some of that this year. Now, as you heard from Sharon's presentation, we want to focus on process improvement. We want to make sure that communities make it as easy as possible for their leaders to do their jobs. So, we want to look at things like, do you have roles defined for your community? Do you have a community handbook? Are there ways that people can know which password you have, how you access things, and who owns that? So we want to help communities define their assets by role instead of by name, because people's names always change, but the role remains consistent. So we want to review community resource documents and identify updates needed. We want to explore different formats, as Sharon said, to provide more convenience and easier readability. We have some great resource documents, but we're looking at ways that we can improve those. We want to look at ways to enhance leader transition to help onboard new leaders and help them just hit the ground running successfully. Now, our treasurer handbook, one of the resource documents we have now, is in the process of being updated, and we will let you know when those updates are completed. But I think that's going to be a most helpful change for this coming year. So next slide, please. Now, what have we changed from 2002, what the CAC did last year? These are some things I thought people might have questions about. Number one, what happened to the incentive program? Well, the incentive program was a terrific program. It was successful. The participation levels were very satisfactory, but we just wanted to take a break this year. It's not going away permanently, but we just needed to take a short break to focus on some of these resource issues and some of the other challenges that communities are facing. So don't worry, it has not been abandoned, but depending on what the future CAC teams want to do, we've got all the information archived about the incentive program. And so it's once we reach a point where it's a good time to bring it back, we will do that. I want to thank Danielle Villegas and Anne-Marie Queenie for all their work on this program over the last 2 years. They put in many, many hours, designing things, designing the theme. Last year it was the deep sea adventure. Before that, it was the hero's journey. And those were really great themes. And so I am very grateful to both Danielle and Anne-Marie and everybody who worked on these programs to make them, the success that they were. So next slide, please. So what's happening with the CAC website? Well, the content from the site is being moved to the Leadership Resources section of the STC website Now, depending on how the design works out, we'll have more information about that. But please be assured, no content is being thrown away or deleted permanently or anything like that. Everything is being kept. So once the transition of the CAC content over to the stc.org site is complete, the CAC site will be archived. So nothing is being thrown out. Now, the great news that we have for you today is the CAC recorded webinars are available on our new CAC YouTube channel. And I'm just thrilled to death about this. And here's the link. And when you get the slides, you'll have this link. And it can be found on the leadership programs page of the STC website right now. So you can go there, find the link for the program you want to look at, click it. You're on YouTube, you can watch it. So this is really, I'm so glad that we've got this now. Next slide, please. So what happened to the CAC outreach chart? Now, some of you may have heard about a big spreadsheet that we had where that was a way to enable community leaders to, contact a CAC team leader. We retired this particular chart because actually the usage level was quite low. And the spreadsheet comments, as you know, spreadsheets can be pretty, complex and large and not easy to maintain. That is not a fault of, spreadsheets in general, but, this may not have been the best format. So we're welcoming suggestions about making outreach to you as easy as possible. At the end of this presentation, we will be giving you some contact information. You might know it already, but we're offering it again. And I am always available as the initial contact, but you can contact anybody on our team. So next slide, please. So here are some upcoming CAC events that we would like you to attend, as many as possible. Webinars. This is just a late breaking entry here. In March, it looks like March, I will be presenting a webinar on how STC communities can be of support to their members as more corporations shed jobs. That's a sad trend that's been going on for the last 6 months, but there are many ways that STC communities can, just help lift up people who have either been hit by a layoff or who have colleagues who are going through this or just don't feel secure about their jobs right now. So hopefully this will help make, increase the awareness of how communities can provide this type of support. April webinars announcements are pending, so stay tuned for that. Now, our STC Summit Conference is, as I mentioned, in Atlanta, Georgia this year. Starts on May 14th, goes through the 17th. Now, on the 16th and the 17th, the CAC will be there with both an educational and a social interaction program. And we'll be telling you more about that as the plans evolve. So if you're going to Atlanta for Summit 2023, yippee, and we hope to see you there. We'll be delighted to see you there. Now, after the summit, we will be doing a virtual leadership program as we did last year, and the date is to be determined, but it will be sometime in early June. So next slide, please. And here are some important STC dates that every community leader needs to know and put on their calendars. First of all, January 31st, not too far away, the CAA and Pace Center Awards applications are due. And so just, if you're a community leader working on the CAA or the Pace Center for your community, just keep this date in mind. And you might want to go on our YouTube channel and review Vicky's webinar, which has a lot of great information. Also on the 31st, this is when the membership renewal for STC membership in 2023, that's when the grace period ends. Now, your active membership status is suspended, but you are still a member and you can still renew. And the second you renew and submit your payment, you're a member of good standing again, but this is when the good standing status ends, January 31st. Now be sure to renew before the 31st because you need to have done that to be able to vote in the upcoming STC elections. So that's an important date. So if you're planning to renew, please do so by the 31st. In April, that's a critical date for chapter finances. Chapters, just chapters, need to file IRS Form 990 and file financial statements with STC. And of course, Summit, as we mentioned, is in Atlanta. So keep those dates in mind. Next slide, please. Now in September, September 1st, the 2024 STC membership season opens. If you want to renew, and we hope you all will, you can start anytime after 2024. Sometime in the fall, dates to be announced, the CIA Pacesetter, Distinguished Chapter Service, Distinguished SIG Service, and Distinguished Student Service award nominations will open. And you'll be hearing more about the due dates for those nominations. In October, and once again, it's probably either the beginning of the month, the end of the month, or somewhere, the date will be announced. The Associate Fellow and Fellow applications are due. Now, this is a society level award. It is not under the purview of the CAC, but if you have any questions about either one of these honors, please do feel free to contact us and we can direct you to the right person. In October, November, around that time frame, chapters and COP SIGs must submit their proposed 2024 budgets. Just a quick note here, communities of interest, COIs, do not have budgets, so this applies only to chapters and community of practice SIGs. So keep that date in mind. Also in October or November, so in that time frame, applications are due for the Sigma Tau Chi and Alpha Sigma Student Honor Societies. And these are wonderful recognitions for students, and we encourage as many students to apply as possible. And December 31st, 2023 is when the STC membership season for this year officially expires. So membership season starts September 1st, ends December 31st. And we encourage all who plan to renew, and I hope that's all of you, to renew sometime in the state range. So next slide, please. And we've got a big birthday coming up. This year, STC, if you can believe it, is 70 years young. And the celebration has already started. It will be a big thing during Summit 2023 and throughout the rest of the year. And if you're a community leader who would like to get a hold of this logo to splash around, please contact me and I'll make sure that you know where to get it. We encourage people to always think of this birthday during this year. So happy 70th STC, all grown up, but forever young. So you'll be hearing more about this. Next, we're going to throw the floor open for discussion, but we want to thank you once again for joining us today. We are very grateful for your presence. And if you have any questions of any type, we're all ears, and we really welcome your participation today, and we're very happy to see you here. Now, we're going to throw the floor open for discussion. We will turn and here's our contact information. You can use one of two email addresses, cac@stc.org, that's forwarded to me as the CAC chair, or my regular STC email address. This goes directly to me. Contact me at any time. You can also use the CAC STC leadership channel to post any information, questions, suggestions, anything. CAC@stc.org. Did I get that? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, thanks for putting that in the chat, Erin. Just a quick reminder once again, we are here for you. That's why the CAC was established. Contact us anytime for support, information, encouragement, ideas. No question is too basic. No question is too stupid. No question is too irrelevant. We want all your questions. You know, if we know where the answer, we can tell you right away. We can refer you to a web link, or we can direct you to someone who might be able to answer, because there are many STC committees that might have information. So, okay. Yeah, Erin, could you put that link in the chat, please? And then we can, you know, you can have it right away. Plus, it will be in these slides when you get the slides in the recording. So now we will shut the recording off, and we will start the open